Tonight we have the pleasure of hearing from John, K2IZ, one of the elder members of the Great South Bay Amateur Radio Club. John's been around technology for a really long time. He's an old phone guy, telephone, and served with the armed forces. So I guess without further ado, we'll ask John to step up. I sort of corralled him because he's been talking about this NanoVNA thing that I've been wondering about, and hopefully he'll give us just an overview of what it is, the kind of things it does, and I know he's really excited about how you hook it up to your computer. So, John, would you take it away? Thank you, W2PW here.
Yeah, thanks, Chris. Again, it's only the second time I run a PowerPoint. I ran it last night in front of NO2C, so if I get stuck, if someone can help me. Yeah, I've been a ham since 71. 65 to 69, I was a radioman in the Navy. And when I started with the phone company, I went outside to special services. In 76, the fastest data set at the time was a 209A. The thing was about 3 feet long, 3 feet deep. It weighed about 40 pounds. And that was the blazing speed of 9.6 meg. If you turned the dial, you could put two 4.8s in there. If you turned it again, you could mux in 4 2.4s. And basically, when I left in 2010, it's like I went from the Wright Brothers Flyer to the SST. Anyway, Press, give me a minute. Let me, I'm going to go to share screen, and then I'm going to start it, okay?
Just to remind you, the share screen's on the bottom, and you want to click the upper left blue ringed screen so we can see every screen you're looking at, if that's okay with you. I got you 5x9.
Okay, unmute. For me to start, like I say, when I first got on the air, my first antenna was a 135-foot long end-fed into a tapped LC tunable network. How did I tune it up? The guy told me, he goes, move the taps around till you get the loudest sound, start playing with it. And once you get the loudest signal, you're good. Didn't have a bridge, didn't have anything. A lot of complaints in the QSTs from the 70s where there were so many articles in there that were basically professional written, because if people wanted to get their doctorate or something, they had to have a published article. So it was, but nowadays, a couple of years ago, I bought that MFJ tuner, and it was good. It was good. I was able to set up my beam and some of my antennas, but it didn't really cover all the frequencies that you wanted. So last year, we had a gentleman that gave a talk, K3, I forget his call sign, on the NanoVNA. For the first time in 50 years, I learned how to read a Smith chart. So anyway, this is what I have. Okay, can you see that? Press? Screen just changed? Okay. That's basically what I bought. There's so many of them available now on Amazon. I don't know how I ended up with this one. This one went for $59. There's some on there for $160. It's, you know, whatever you want. This is what came with it. And these little adapters here, they're short, open, 50 ohm termination. The thing is, though, is like I say, I'm 6'6", 6'7". I used to be able to use 3 fingers to palm a basketball. One of these things in my hand is like a little tiny thing, and with my glasses and stuff, I was having trouble reading. I was having trouble understanding it. So I did a little searching around, and I saw this on here: PC control via Nano Saver. It's a downloadable program, and with it, you can actually see on your PC. Plus, it shows you a ton of more stuff. Okay. If you go to the website, this is what it says. Down here. Tells you what it does. You can read data from NanoVNA. This is it's not what I did last night. Display multiple chart types. See over here, you set everything up, and then you can display whatever charts you want. So, get back up here. This ain't working the way it's supposed to, but that's okay. First thing you got to do is the same thing. You calibrate it like you do the regular handheld one. Short, open, load, through, the whole 9 yards. And once you bring it up on the screen, once you bring it into the computer, first thing you do is they have the calibration test. I might have this a little bit out of order. First thing you do is really you should see what it says right here, NanoVNA. First thing you do is you actually hook it up to that. Get out of there. Where your computer recognizes what COM port it is. So in this case here, I'm on COM 6 on my laptop. This is the steps through on the calibration chart, the short, the open. So instead of reading it in your hand or trying to read it, it's now on the screen. And you go through, you do all your calibration, and I'm still trying to figure, there's a way you can save all these calibrations for the next time you do it. Now, once you get it calibrated and everything, you want to hook it up, you go to sweep settings. And again, just as me just playing around with it, I found it on my own. You go to sweep settings for what you want to do. Okay, let me get this down. And also you expand the display. So you see up here, marker 1, frequency, impedance, series L, series C, parallel R, parallel X. And then over here, it reads your VISWAR, return loss, quality factor. Again, that's more stuff than I ever get into. I'm just looking to see how's the antenna. That's all I care about. Next thing here, you get down under your sweep settings and you display the band. The only thing this doesn't cover is 220. I think it goes up to 23 centimeters. From 160 meters, 23 centimeters. So again, you select the band. In this case here, you know those Arrow satellite antennas? I had broken off an element and I got a replacement for it. So I says, oh, let's see how it looks. So first I selected the 2 meter band. You get down here, which is time domain reflectometry. When this pops up, I'm using RG58AU. I had the thing hanging from my ceiling here in the basement. You choose the type of cable that you hooked up to. In this case here, RG50AU, 54 foam, Belden, whatever, the whole 9 yards. A little bit. Once I got through, this is my settings for the 2 meter part of the Arrow antenna. Okay, up here, started at 144 meg, center was 146, stopped at 148 meg. You can see the visual right here, and you set the markers over here. See the red, the green, the blue, whatever color you want. That antenna, for where I want it, goes up to just a little 1.5 to 1, which I'm in the satellite portion of the band. Okay, it's still good up into the regular 2 meter portion of the band. Okay, it says the VISWAR 1.4.39, return loss, whatever. I didn't expand this one out. I should have. Sorry about that. And then this one here. Then I switched over again, going back to sweep settings. Put it on the 440 portion. This is the 440 portion of the Arrow antenna that you go out there, you wave around in the sky. Press, we had one guy, remember him? He was up on top of the Annville train station, and somebody called the police and said he was shooting rockets at the train. God. He's standing there holding the arrow antenna like this, and somebody says he's shooting rockets at the trains. Yeah, okay, fine. Whatever. You see the SWR? That's flat right across where you need it. Okay, well below 1.5. You go over here, and again, if I had expanded out I didn't do it. Here's the VISWAR for the first part, second part, third part, okay? And then if you expand on the other side, it would show you how much gain, how much loss, the whole 9 yards. This one here, that's K9TAX, what it's called, is he's got J-pole antenna, 2 and 440 for an emergency antenna. It's made out of open wire feeder. I just hung it from my ceiling here in the basement. It wasn't even spread out right. Okay, and again, I sweeped it for 2 meters. Not being hooked up in the right setting, again, it was all coiled up and everything. I'm still a little over 2. There and there. Okay. And then you look on the charger, and again, it's all right in front of you instead of having to guess what it is. That's what I love about this. And then when I went to the 440 portion, again, I went into sweep settings, changed it to 440. All right. I'd already had it set up for the RG58. And again, not being set up right, again, just hanging from the ceiling here, all coiled up. It's still not that bad for use. I bet you if I hung it up outside, it'd be even better. But again, it's shows you the VISWAR, the whole 9 yards. It starts to again, if it was stretched out up in the air, and then I don't have it, but one of the last things I did was I took one of those little Nagoya antennas off the Baofeng, and I hooked it up. I had to lay it on the desk. I said, wow, this is terrible. And I'm like, oh, wait a minute. It's a vertical antenna. As soon as I held it up in my hand, flat, right below 1.51. Do your own tests on it. But again,
well,
that's
really exactly
it.
what I was hoping to find out about. I've got a box of rubber duckies, and they're not labeled. How do I know, even what band they are? Can I put them on this device, and can it sweep 0 to 1,000? It'll say, oh yeah, this is a 440, or this is a 390, or this is a 220, or this is a 140.
There's a way you can do the whole sweep, but again, I'm not interested in that, Press. I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
I just went through and said, okay, I know this is 2. It doesn't do 220, so I couldn't use the tri-band antenna that I have for the B-Tech. Here on Long Island, in this area here, thank you, Press, we have 2 meters, we have 220, we have 440. Okay, we have an outstanding crew that maintains them. So for me here, a lot of other places, who's got 220 anymore? We do, we use it. Okay.
So this device actually omits 220 for coverage, but does below and above?
You got it.
Interesting. Didn't know that.
That's what I say. If you download the program and you go to the sweep settings, you'll see it.
So this program, is this program put out by the NanoVNA manufacturer, or is it a third party that does it?
It's freeware.
Okay. And do you know where you find it?
I forget exactly where I downloaded that, Press, but hold on a second.
NanoVNA
Saver.
So it looks like nanovna.com. That's easy to remember.
No, it's not Nano. Yeah, okay, it might be. But again, you just go on there, Press, do a click, do a search. Again, I'm sorry I didn't write it down.
Well, Brian's actually putting a link to the software in the chat to everyone. So
thank you.
That's very helpful.
All right. But again, you read all the stuff it does. I'm sorry it's not bigger. Reading data from the NanoVNA. Again, for me to sit there with my reading glasses on, try and hold it in my big paw, and go through, my hands are starting to shake. My arthritis is getting worse. I was a CW operator. I worked outside for many years. My hands are all starting to fold up. But again, averaging, just all the stuff that it does. displaying. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
So, John, what you're saying is when you use your little laptop PC or whatever you have over there, the actual registers that stores the settings are inside that VNA?
Press, does that sound right? You're
I
reading.
actually think it's probably in the configuration of the software. There's probably an initialization file that the software stores those profiles.
It reads it out.
It
Mario,
would
I'm
make
sorry.
more
That's
sense.
not my heavy part there. I'm
No,
sorry.
that's okay. No problem.
It would make more sense that the instrument is just providing the raw data and the software does all the heavy lifting.
Gotcha.
Yeah, time domain function, measurement of cable length. Again, when I plugged it in, I was using a 3-foot length of RG58. With that and the additional stuff that was on the antenna, it said, you have 3.9 feet of RG58 on there, and here's the reading for it. It's good, no bumps, no flats, no nothing.
So yeah, one of the things I've learned is that when you're hooking up an instrument and looking to measure an antenna, it's critical that you account for the cable, both in its small amount of loss and its other properties that the instrument needs to take into account. So if you took an antenna and screwed it right on the VNA or versus at the other end of 10 feet of coax, that same antenna will read differently until you declare the coax. So it sounds like in this NanoVNA Saver software, in one of those screens I saw, you had a drop down that picked the type of coax, probably the amount of it, etc.
What thing you got to remember? I got a first phone. I got an extra. Okay. My thing in the phone company was I was a field tech in what they call special services, data, teletype, computer. Okay. You'd be amazed how important it is to check the loss.
Yeah.
The cable. Okay. For example, we had a guy that lived 2 miles from the Northport Central office. This is going back about 20 years. He could dial into his bank with the touch tone pad. But once he tried to use his touch tone pad to access his account, it didn't work. And everybody tried everything. Finally, they sent me out there with my Hewlett Packard, and again, technology changed. My Hewlett Packard transmission impairment measuring set, TIMS. All right. What I did was, first thing I did was I removed the customer's wire from the cable. I called a special number in Northport that sent me 1,000 cycles at 0. Okay. I had a 2 dB loss in the cable from there to the CO. Now I called another number in a different central office and it sent me 1,000, -5. Okay. Now I did a complete freak run, which in data is from 300 to 3,000 cycles. 1,000 cycles, good. 1,200, bit of a drop. 1,400, major drop. 1,600, 20 dB loss in the cable. 1,800, 28 dB loss in the cable. 2,000 was starting to come back up. And then at 2,400, it was back to normal.
Wow.
What happened was the cable that they were using was a reused, what they call the trunk cable that used to go between central offices. They used to put load pots in there to, keep, I forget the exact definition, but the load pot was causing a 20 dB hole between 14 and 2,400 cycles. And for those of you that know multi-freak, between 14 and 2,400 cycles, that's where all your information is. And it was so far down in the mud, the bank computer couldn't read it.
Makes sense.
What did we do? We went to the old lady's house next door. She still had a rotary phone. We checked her cable. She was in a different underground. Flat.
Swapped them.
Swapped. Have a nice day. We're gone.
So does anybody have any questions for John on the NanoVNA itself and what you've learned?
Well, I say, press. The one thing with me was I was always a, what's the word they use? Self-starter.
Yeah.
I got an order one time to install a data line from the engineers. Install per the BSP and let us know how you get it to work. Okay.
Yeah.
So basically, I went out there. I had to figure out and everything. But I told him, okay, this is how I got it to work. Instead of sitting back and saying, oh, I don't know. Anytime something new came out, we were always,
Yeah, you just got to tear it in and figure out.
what's this do? All right, we
So
went through.
what single thing surprised you the most about the VNA when you started using it?
Not so much handheld, but using it with the computer, was all the measurements are displayed on the screen that you can read and understand it. There's more there than I'm ever going to use. Okay.
Now, can you save this information that you're reading out of the instrument in files?
Yeah. Yeah, you can.
Okay.
You can. Again, here's the other part here. I mean, like I say, that gentleman we had, I forget his call. He put out a quiz, 20 questions, and I had actually go into the start reading. But he was the first person to ever explain a Smith chart to me. I used to look at him in the old QSTs and say, this is nice. What does it mean? Because Smith charts wasn't my thing.
Yeah, we had somebody here talk about Smith charts a few months ago, and it was above my pay grade.
But the thing is, he explained it nicely to us. It was kind of like when I went to school for my first class license. The instructor started talking about square roots and this and this. He turned around and he realized he was getting deer in the headlights look from every one of us in the class. We were all veterans. So he goes, do you guys know what I'm talking about? We said, no. So he spent a week explaining how to do square roots and all the formulas involved for our first class, second class and first class FCC radio telephone licenses.
So what would you say is the best ability that this NanoVNA has, and what would you say could use an improvement?
Improvement, I have no idea. Whoever wrote this program ought to be put up for sainthood, especially since it's freeware. The thing I like the most is I can sit there and look at the simple things. Again, my first antenna, 135 feet. All right. About 12 years ago, I had up a center-fed dipole. Worked great on 80, stunk on 40, and then Ed came over, ADC.
Yeah.
He had his meter. He says, oh, look at this, John. You've got 60% of your power coming back to you on 40 meters. That's why you ain't getting out. Oh. That's why I have an off-center fed antenna up there. Off-center fed covers 80, 40. Sorry, covers everything. Once in a while, if it gets wet, I might have to use the external tuner on 30 meters. But every other band, perfect.
Yeah, I got one of his off centers. They work good. Does anybody have any questions on what we're going over tonight?
I was just going to mention something. So, John, I have a Comet antenna analyzer. And one of the features that the Comet antenna analyzer doesn't have is to be able to study the cable. The MFJ one, I believe, does. It allows you to analyze the cable that's connected to the antenna as well.
Understand one thing, Mario. I am not knocking any manufacturer.
Oh, okay. Well, anyway.
It's like here on Long Island, we have no ham hardware stores, right, Preston?
No.
We used to have Arrow. We used to have Harrison, the house that Ham's built, where you go in there and put your hands on the radio.
Like Lafayette.
Laugh a lot radio, yeah. Right now, nobody wants to come to Long Island because one of the guys told me from Jersey, he goes, before I leave my house, I'm $200 in the hole.
Yeah.
From tolls, gas, personnel, meals. He said, and then it's got to be indoor because I can't put it outdoor because if it rains, I'll ruin my inventory. That's the problem we have here. So again, why do I have a Kenwood 590? Because I like Kenwoods. I've had a 530, I've got a 480, 590. The only way we can do a pick and choose on radios out here is my next door neighbor, he's gone now, K2TV. For those of you that don't know, our antennas were 45 feet apart. We could legally run a multi-multi in a contest. K2TV only needed one country for his final, okay, and that was North Korea. before he left, he had a letter signed in my blood that if North Korea ever came on the air, I would turn and unplug everything off of my house until he got it in the log. I wouldn't even turn on my TV if it meant that. Again, Bob is 78. He spent his ham career chasing DX. He used to get the phone calls at 2 o'clock in the morning. It was a 2-ringer. If the phone rang twice and then stopped, you went upstairs, turned on the radio. Okay, this country that you need is on the air. He's on this frequency. My wife would have shot me if I did that. The only time she wanted the phone ring in the middle of the night was for me getting a call out.
Well, I guess if we don't have any more questions, we have John for a few minutes. We've got the room till 8.
Understand one thing. I'm not knocking MFJ. I'm not knocking out whatever. It's unfortunately for us here, we have to read to understand. And once I saw this little feature, PC control via Nano Saver. Look at that. I don't have to sit there and squint.
So that cable is a USB-C cable, and it comes with the NanoVNA to charge it, so it'll plug right into your laptop, right?
Yep.
I'm glad I watched because I didn't know that.
Well, we got something done tonight.
Okay. I'm sorry I can't bring up the small stuff there, but yeah, it's got all the stuff. But again, the cable comes with it.
Okay. Got the Nano, got the cable. Now I got to get the software. That might make it all work.
So yeah, the software. Brian put a link in there in the chat. Oh, look at that. Okay.
That's the Smith chart right there, where this thing here says that purple line right there. That's good. I think that's a short. That's an open. Whatever. But again, I just turned 74. My eyes aren't what they used to be. And to sit there and try, but and all the little tiny stuff up here. Okay.
Yeah.
Whereas you can bring it up on the screen, Viswar, loss, time domain, the whole 9 yards. See down here, it says with the start, kilohertz, stop, you go there. So again, press, you can set it up to sweep the whole place, I think. Okay. You just got, again, RTFM. Read the
there is that problem is there's no manual on the Chinese junk, so that's why we have people like you. Well, thank you, John. I really appreciate it. If there's any questions, we'll take them. Otherwise, we'll let the crew go back to general chat.
Thank you very much. I learned a lot about this.
Hey, Press.
Why I say it's an honor. Press, how many people are on here?
46.
Okay, all over the country?
Yep, all over the country, all over the world, and you do rank among some of the higher numbers of speaker presentations, recipients, whatever I'm saying. Does somebody yell, "Hey, Press"?
Press, I don't care about that. What I care about is the fact that I'm humbled to be speaking before a group like this from all over the United States and the world, and just to be able to, share the knowledge from here. Just trust me, I am humbled.
We had a total of 56 people at any given time.
Oh wow, we peaked out at 56. That's pretty good.
Press, again, I sit here with my head bowed in the humility
to
be able to address all these people. Press, with what you do, I can't even come close to it. That's why I thank you and K2IZ every time you're on the air.
Thank you, John. Thank you so much.